What is going on, everyone? I am back with another video. It's been a little bit, like 2 months since I've uploaded a video or even tried to record one, but here we are either way. And on this video, what I want to talk about is tips for fat loss or getting shredded or losing fat, anything along those lines, whatever you want to call it, shredding, cutting, dieting, either way, on how to make it a little bit easier and how to actually somewhat enjoy the process of dieting, eating less food, and all of that. Number one, how to actually adhere to the plan that you've set yourself or your coach has set you. You know, it's all good having something written out for you, alright, eat this, blah blah blah. But as you get further into a diet, it starts to get harder and harder, just because you start to crave more food, or you lack motivation, or whatever it may be. What I actually used to do in the past was not right. Definitely not right when I was dieting. Before I had a coach and before I really learnt how to stay on track and not fuck up my diet, I used to, you know, pretty much starve myself all week. I would be eating like 1600 calories. This is all through high school. So it was definitely not fun trying to do tests and fuck all the schoolwork and stuff like that when you're on 1500 calories for weeks on end. And obviously that's not very sustainable, and what would happen all the time is I would just binge like crazy on the weekend. I would order a big jumbo meat lovers pizza, extra cheese, egg, you name it, Ben & Jerry's ice cream afterwards. It was bad. It was bad. Boxes of cookies, everything. Anything that was there, it was gone. So to avoid that, here's some steps and things that you can do to kind of adhere to the diet, make little changes in your diet to make it a little bit easier to adhere to and stick to. So number one for adhering to your diet and your plan would be trying to avoid foods that you know are really gonna set you off and be like, oh damn, there's that chocolate bar again. You've seen it in the cupboard for the last 3 weeks and it's just sitting there, but you can't eat it. But one day you might think, you know what, oh, one chocolate bar, it's not gonna do anything. Either way, that's the wrong mindset to have, especially when you're going through a diet phase or anything like that where you need to be stricter on yourself. I would suggest removing those things from your household. Obviously, if you live with your parents, like I do, you can't just remove all of the shit food from your house. So you kind of just have to either hide it from yourself, get them to hide it, or just have the willpower and just not eat the fucking food. Either way, it can be hard sometimes, but you just have to do it either way. Another thing for adhering to the diet and kind of just sticking to it is have a goal in place. For me right now, I am currently like 10 and 11 weeks out from my first bodybuilding show, which I'm pretty fucking excited about. But in the past, I've gotten ready for photo shoots and stuff like that, and having a goal of some kind can really help you just tunnel vision. Alright, I've got to do this for this amount of time, let's just get it done, and then I can enjoy myself afterwards a little bit. But like I was saying, in the past, when I would just diet for no reason, just trying to look good, it would never work, and I would always just binge on my diet, cheat on my diet for days on end, and then you're back 2-3 weeks behind because you just decided to cheat on your diet. And it's not good either way, because you've been eating such little amount of food. All this food that you're just going to be binging on and eating is not good for you either way, whether your body needs the nutrients or not. And realistically, the foods that you're going to be eating are not healthy foods. They're going to be pizza, ice cream, chocolate, any junk food you can think of, you'll be eating it. And another thing to do with adhering to a plan and not feeling so hungry and stuff all the time is staying as busy as possible. Whether that's at school, whether that's at work, whether you have to find shit to do during the day. make sure you find some stuff to do and keep your mind off thinking about food, because that is a massive downfall for so many people. Just thinking about food all the time. Well, when's my next meal? What I'm gonna have for my next meal? Try not to do that. You just have to stay busy, have your days planned out, even if you have to the night before, write down your to-do list for the next day, and make sure you're busy throughout most of the time of the day. Alright, so some foods and drinks and stuff like that can make the dieting experience a little bit easier as well. So obviously having things like your 0-calorie sauces and your sugar-free maple syrups and all that good stuff definitely helps so much. Because in like a regular serving of barbecue sauce or tomato sauce or anything like that, it's only 15 milliliters, which is not a lot of sauce, is about 30 to 40 calories depending on what brand you buy, obviously. And you have that over 3 or 4 meals, that adds up to being, you know, in the mid 100s plus if you have a little bit extra. So avoid using the full sugar stuff and really try to get the reduced sugar or the 0-calorie options if you can, because they are so much better. The Walden Farm stuff, you can get it from your Coles, Woolworths, and wherever else in the world that you guys live, you'll be able to find it. Just look it up. And another thing is carbonated drinks, definitely, or 0-calorie energy drinks or anything like that. Not only does the caffeine from the energy drinks also blunt your appetite a little bit for a little bit of time. They taste good. They kind of give you a false sense of a break from your diet when you're drinking something like that, and they all taste pretty damn good in general. Like your carbonated drinks, like sparkling water, you can get your like the sugar-free Coke and stuff like that. Any of the fizzy drinks, that is always a good thing. 0-calorie, like sugar-free. Well, it's not really 0-calorie, but the sugar-free fizzy drinks from a brand called Zevia. They use stevia sweetener instead of the other sweeteners that you'll find in like the Coke and stuff like that. The aspartame and aspartame, I don't know, aspartame at least. Having those can definitely help you out by not having to drink full sugar energy drinks or full sugar fizzy drinks, because they pack a lot of calories and they do not fill you up whatsoever. Sugar-free jelly, you can get like a big bowl of jelly for like 20 to 50 calories depending on the brand as well. That shit tastes so good when you're dieting. I haven't had to use it just yet on this prep, but I did a lot back when I was dieting for photo shoots and stuff like that. Big bowl of jelly at the end of the night. There's nothing better than that when you're on a cut, and it's just so much volume in this food and it tastes so damn good. Black coffee, obviously you can't have your normal fucking big old list of shit that you get from Starbucks, because that shit is packed full of sugar and fat from the milk and whatever you get in your coffee. So black coffee, add a stevia if you have to, do whatever you have to, use the 0-calorie options, because black coffee, obviously like I said before, caffeine will blunt your appetite and suppress it for a little bit. Nothing crazy, but it definitely will suppress it a little bit. Having big bowls of salads, like just anything that's really high volume that you can fit into your diet, and obviously not using full fat, full calorie sauces and stuff to put on your salad. Use balsamic vinegar, use the sugar-free salad dressings that they have. There's plenty and plenty of different sauces and stuff that you can find. You just have to look around and you'll find something that you like. Obviously just chuck your meal in with that salad, and the volume in that is just ridiculous, and that will definitely fill you up for a good amount of time. Another thing is PB2, which is just pretty much powdered peanut butter, all natural. It is just like 1/3 basically of the calories of a normal tablespoon of peanut butter, and it tastes just as good if you mix it in with your oats or your protein shakes and shit like that. It is really good if you really are craving the taste of peanut butter. I don't really use it too much, but I have in the past, and I can definitely vouch that shit tastes good. Yeah, so that's the kind of the foods and the drinks that you can have to make that a little bit easier. There's plenty more, but I'm just going over kind of the basics and just things like that. Another thing that can help you stick to a diet and kind of adhere to it a little bit more is meal timing. So there's lots of different things going around with, you can either do like intermittent fasting or just kind of spacing out your meals throughout the day a little bit more. So intermittent fasting is kind of where you will set out a block of time throughout the day that you will only eat your meals in that time. So for example, if you do a 16-hour fast, so obviously no calories during that time, you can still have your 0-calorie drinks, your black coffee and the water and stuff like that, but no food, nothing like that. And then the other 8 hours of the day is where you'll just cram all your food in and eat. And you'll be able to have obviously bigger meals because you're not having to space them out throughout the whole day. Personally, I'm not really a fan because I like to eat in the morning before work and during work, otherwise I'll be hungry as fuck and angry throughout the entire day. So that is just not an option for me, and I really don't see all of the benefits that some people do, especially if you're trying to preserve as much muscle as you can. You do still want the protein coming in semi-regularly in your meals to kind of hold on to as much muscle as you possibly can when you're dieting especially. But yeah, spacing your meals out a little bit more. So obviously everyone, like there's a lot of shit out there that say that you need to have your meals every 2 hours, which is just not feasible when you are dieting, especially when you're on lower calories, unless you're just eating a salad for every meal, then whatever. But that's not what I do. Normally I'll have my first meal at like 6 a.m. depending on when I'm going to work or how far away the job is or whatever. And then my next meal will be at like 10 or 10:30, and then next meal normally about 1:30, and then my pre-workout meal normally about 3:30, 4 o'clock. And then I'll train, have my post-workout shake, and then an hour or so after that I'll have my last meal of the day. And then that's kind of how you space that out and are not so hungry throughout the entire day. Don't get me wrong, towards the end of your diet or however lean you are trying to get, you're gonna get hungry regardless at some point in the day, and that's just, it's bound to happen because you are in a calorie deficit, and that is just how that shit works. Another thing is having bigger meals when you know in the day that you are more hungry. So whether you want to do carb backloading or carb front loading, whatever you want to do, save your carbs for the entire day and eat majority of them at night time, so you can have like a big bowl of oats, peanut butter on toast, whatever you kind of want at the end of the day, rather than spacing it out evenly throughout the day. Personally, I have a pretty big breakfast, and then majority of my meals are all about the same size. And I do have a red meat meal at the end of the day, kind of because the fats in the red meat allow the protein to allow the meal to digest slower, and it keeps me full until I wake up in the morning. So that's all good so far. But as you get further and further into the diet, it does still get a lot harder, and things like that become less feasible at that point. And another thing, what a lot of people try and do when they're dieting, or they're just getting into dieting and they really just want to see the results really quickly, is they'll drop their calories way too quick and they'll increase their cardio way too quickly as well. Both of those things are definitely not what you want to do. You want to slowly decrease calories and slowly increase cardio when it is needed. From the start of my prep to now, I'm down about 1,500 calories, and I've been dieting for 10 weeks so far. So I've lost about 10 kilos in the last 10 weeks, starting at 117.5 kilos and now down to 107. So you don't need to drop your calories so aggressively and so often when you are dieting. If you are adhering to the plan and sticking to it, the body fat will come off. Because if you go too aggressive in the cut and you drop your calories by 1,000 every single time, you're gonna have nowhere to go in terms of, say you're starting at 3,000, all right, let's drop it to 2,000 after 4 weeks, and all right, let's drop it to 1,500 after another 4 weeks. Where the fuck are you gonna go after that 1,500? It is very hard to go much lower than that in terms of food. And same thing with cardio. If you're starting with half an hour plus a day, you're just not gonna stick to that, because you're gonna get burnt out, and you really can't just keep going up and up and up without losing a lot of muscle, which is not what you want to do when you're dieting. You've worked hard to build that muscle, you really don't want to lose it all in the small amount of time that you will be dieting. And then another thing is going for short 10-minute walks after each meal. Stan Efferding, the guy who created the vertical diet, and God knows how many world records that guy's broken. He's a strong motherfucker. He highly suggests this as a way to increase digestion and not just let the food sit in your stomach, but also another way to increase daily expenditure. Therefore, you'll be burning more calories throughout the day. And a short 5-minute walk after each meal is really not that hard. Just get it done and stop complaining, really. And then enough of all of that stuff. Now we can kind of talk about the drugs that are used to lose fat and kind of the stimulants and stuff like that. All of the juicy stuff that I know most of you guys will really want to know. So you have drugs like Clen, T3, T4, DMP. All of these things are drugs, and if you take that shit, you are not natural. Whatever you want to say, you are not. Then you've got things like yohembine, natural stimulants as well, through like caffeine and nicotine as well, which you could class as a drug, but either way. So all of the drugs that I named before, Clen, T3, T4, DMP, all those things, not only will they decrease your appetite, well, DMP, some studies show that it really increases your appetite a fucking lot, but either way, what those drugs do is they really increase the amount of fat your body is burning, how much energy you're actually expending through thermogenesis, and it's just increasing your body's temperature. You will jitter around more, you'll shake your feet a lot more, you'll want to move around that little bit more, therefore you're just creating further of a deficit through using those drugs. And things like fat burners that you can get at your local sub stores and stuff, majority of those, the ingredients they have in them, they really don't do fuck all. The caffeine, the things like that, they are good if you're trying to suppress your appetite. They're not going to make you burn more fat, despite the name being a fat burner. They're really not. Get your diet in check, get your training in check, get your cardio in check, and that is how you will lose fat. So I really hope these tips and kind of me explaining how the dieting process works, I hope these really helped and you can get something from this, because dieting is not that easy. People say, oh, it's a piece of piss, it's so easy. It's really not once you start getting further and further into it. If you enjoy the process, it can make it a lot easier on you mentally and physically. So if you got anything out of this, make sure you like the video, subscribe, share it with all your friends, and I am out.